So as you can see, the greenhouse is a bit full up. I need to put some stuff out. I'll just show you some of the stuff that's waiting to go out here. Here we've got some Japanese cucumbers, and my Japanese friend got some seeds sent over from Japan and gave me a couple of plants. So I have been growing Japanese cucumbers before, but I think they got mixed with European cucumbers because they started to change slowly over the years as I kept using the same seeds. So this is fresh stock from Japan, and this is just some little tomatoes waiting to go out. I'm not even going to put them out yet till it warms up, because if I put them out they just get sodden and don't seem to grow anymore. So we'll see how it goes. And there's some Roma lettuces that I put in pots, and I did put some outside, but the slugs had them all straight away. And in the background there's a couple of paprikas, different sorts of paprika. These things here that are looking a little bit yellow because they need to be planted out. These are, what do they call them? Carpentras melons, honey melons. The ones with the bright orange insides that you get in the south of France. And I think I'll grow them in the greenhouse. But there's one little thing I was wondering, is if you grow the melons in the greenhouse and the pot or the base, the roots are planted in the greenhouse, but then you let the tendrils and leaves grow outside of the greenhouse, where does the plant feel the heat? Does it feel it in its roots? Does it feel it in its leaves? Or does it feel it in different parts? So if the root structure and the bottom of the plant is in the greenhouse where it's nice and warm, and then the leaves that go outside, possibly a fruit outside too, will they benefit from being warm, having warm feet in the greenhouse? So where's the feeling of the plant for cold or warm? Down here I've got my Japanese peppers in there, also new fresh seeds from Japan. Sometimes I'm kind of wondering where to go with these gardening videos, because gardening's basically quite simple, isn't it? You get a seed and you put it in the dirt, and then nature does the rest, and your job's just to make sure it's got enough water and kill the slugs and kill the weeds that are trying to grow around the plants that you chose to plant. And you can go into it in great detail and discuss different fertilizers and what's the chemical formulation of the fertilizers and how it works. But that's a job for other people, and maybe that's a job for professional gardeners. And I can't be bothered to try and make my YouTube gardening channel like a professional gardening channel. I'm more into just seeing what Joe Bloggs is doing in his garden, and listening to people, just listening to people babbling on, and it doesn't even have to be about gardening for my entertainment. I quite like just to hear what people are saying and what they think about their lives and what's happening in their lives and what they've experienced in their lives. And gardening's just like a little thing that everyone's sort of enjoying and doing, and gives us all you could call it like a gardener's pub. We don't sit drinking alcohol and sit at a bar talking, but it's like a little club of YouTube gardeners, and I find that quite nice. Because if you think about it seriously, unless you do it almost professionally with a big polytunnel and plant loads of stuff and really get into the homesteading thing, then you're not really going to make a massive impression on your life doing gardening. You get to eat nice fresh food, which is a great thing, but you probably won't save any money. But maybe that is why people like it so much, is because I was listening to a guy, it's called John Simpson. I'll put a link below. He's an interesting guy and talks about lots of things. Lives in the middle of nowhere like I do too. And often in his garden just chatting about things. And he was talking about functionalism, which basically means when somebody says, you know garryentropy, he's the guy who makes videos, or he's the guy who fixes cars, or he's the baker, the candlestick maker. You know, naming people by what job they do, what function they have in society. And this functionalism thing, everyone just being like a cog in a machine and working in the society to help other people as well, but a lot of jobs are absolutely useless jobs. Maybe a guy who works in a plastics factory making the ashtrays for cars, or making the plastic bumper on a car, or something that you make and you know it's going to end up as rubbish in a few years and it's going to end up filling up a landfill somewhere. And maybe doing this gardening is like a way of bringing some meaning to your life in a way. I have to start doing more speaking videos because I've noticed that my English is getting really bad. I'm trying to think of the word in English and I know the German word, and that's not much use if I'm addressing an English speaking audience. I was really seriously wondering if that big volcanic explosion in Iceland a few years ago had screwed up the atmosphere a little bit and reduced the amount of sunlight we're getting, because I know last winter we had 60% more darkness than usual. I thought 40% less sun than usual, and right up until May it's been like that. It's often been really dark, and that affects people, makes them depressed and miserable. So let's go out in the sunshine. The potatoes are doing really well. I'm almost tempted to dig up this row just to get some really nice new potatoes, just see if there's any grown there. And I could do it, just dig up this row and then plant a couple more seed potatoes, and I'm sure they'd come up in around November then. Try getting a double crop out of it. But they're looking very healthy, and a few leaves have been eaten away by things. I don't know what that is, but some flies or something, some kind of fly. But the Colorado beetles haven't turned up yet, so that's good, because when the Colorado beetles come, then they strip it all away straight away. But I think I'll have to do some more earthing up, even though the consensus seems to be that nobody really knows why we do it. But maybe it's just because them trenches look nice and people have always done it like that. This little bush looks nice. I don't know what the official Latin name is, but it's called the beauty bush. And it took a long time to get established, but it looks nice now. You can see why they call it a beauty bush. Starting to climb slowly, not looking too healthy, and I don't like the look of these little black flies on there either. Or are they ants? Ants are okay, I suppose. But they've been so wet the whole time and whipped around. But as soon as it gets warm again and the earth warms up a little bit, then they'll start shooting up a bit. Peas are slowly starting to come along. You can see the little tendrils are starting to grab hold of these thorn bushes that I put in there for them to climb up. But it's still taking a while. I thought they'd be much bigger, because they came through and got up to about 2 inches high, and then they just stopped growing for the last 2-3 weeks because it's been so cold. Climbing onto there now, and it'll be growing up there good. And in between the peas I've put a few broad beans, but they've been they got hailstoned on the other day, so sometimes when you see holes on your leaves like that could be from hailstones going straight through the leaves. And that's sage. That's been in for about 5 years, this, and it's looking quite good from all this rain. I sometimes make sage tea out of it if I got a sore throat. And we used to eat this a lot make tea with this a lot in Greece. They used to just call it mountain tea. But it's slightly antiseptic and supposed to be good if you've got sore throat. Nice for stuffing in chickens too. These chives have all started flowering now, and funny thing is, for some reason when they start flowering then the middle goes hard. I don't know why that is. I don't know what happens now, we just leave them, but well, these are growing. I've been growing in the ground for about 3 years now, so at least in springtime you get lots of chive. Some thyme, which smells great. It's just flowering now. Some coriander growing there. Bit of celery, more coriander. Good for curries. Some people don't like coriander. Some people think it tastes of soap, but it's just one of those things. Some people taste it one way and some people taste it another way. It's like I can't even taste beetroot. For me, beetroot is the worst thing to eat. There's the grapes. Little grapes on there. Couple more tomatoes. This is the Virginia creeper, my nemesis, taking over the garden. But it's nice to cover up a stark concrete wall like that. And you see that's growing on the wall there. And also along there. And all the way 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 along there. It's an avocado plant planted from an avocado nut seed, whatever they call them, 3 years ago. And that stays in the house in winter and comes out in summer, and they're getting quite hefty now. Now we've got, what do they call it? Bay leaf. Is it bay leaf? Something like bay leaf. There's my olive, which got infested by something, I don't know what it was. So I had to resort to some chemical spray and give it a quick spray, and it seems to have cleared up now. I've had this olive for a long time now. I've been dragging it around with me for about 15 years, but it just doesn't get any bigger. But it doesn't die either. And it only got olives on it 2 times. There's a shame about the wisteria flowers. They all came out in lovely blooms, and then it just rained all the time, so we weren't really able to enjoy the flowers, and now they're all looking a bit tatty and all the bits are falling on the floor because they've just been rained on every day and blown about by the wind. And we have the June berries almost coming alive there. Big June berry tree. Hortensias. There's my apple tree. Don't see a sign of one apple on there yet. This little bit here I grafted on from Stephen Hayes. But no apples. I might cut it down actually, this tree, and plant a different sort. Another June berry. This is the kiwi plant. There's all the little flowers on there. And I planted that on the woodshed to cover it up a little bit. It's getting really big, but the kiwis always seem to be hard in the middle for some reason. That plant there is horseradish, I think. Basically it's like wasabi. You know the white horseradish sauce you get? That's made from the roots of this plant. It's never bloomed this much before though. When I dug out the trench for the peas over there, I just took the grass sods and put them here under the bush and left them as little paradises for wildlife. I'll just let the grass sods grow wild. I quite like how they look. And there's another little, and there you have another little grass sod paradise. There you can see the beauty bush and some of the buttercups and blue flowers and dandelions and sorrel and all different sorts of stuff, kind of wild. It doesn't all have to be shaved off like Kew Gardens everywhere. Ferns are looking really good this year, and they've increased in size incredibly. It's kind of like a little bit of a secret garden. There used to be a tree growing there, but I've planted a couple of boxwoods that you can see at the back, and a rhododendron, and all the ivy's come over the old tree stump. I made a video of me cutting that tree down, and since then all this fern's grown, and that was all came from one fern plant from Aldi. It's taken a few years to get going, but eventually I hope that these ferns spread all the way down the back here, behind the hortensias, where it's dark and damp. So I have to go in and make some lasagna. But have a great day.